All right, everybody, going straight into episode 5 because I'm loving this, and I just want to get in. I don't have anything to say. I can't think of anything. I just want to get into this. Okay, so oh shit, better make sure everything's set up. Okay, now as usual, gonna have a cutoff here, and I will hold so you can see the timer for this. Again, this is on Netflix. It's a Netflix series. Watch it on Netflix. It'll be easiest for you to sync up with some with a timer and some shot, but I can't give too much because otherwise you get copyright issues. Ooh, is this? Oh, Kate practicing, showing off her sniper skills. Girl's got mad skills. That's why she's a champion. Oh, is that a single shot rifle? Engraved bullets and everything. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, this is earlier. Because Grayson is still alive. So maybe this is part of it. Like, Grayson inspired her to become a police officer. Is that what we're going with? Oh, possibly. Oh, is that what she was doing? Yeah. Like, I keep forgetting to check who that actress is. I know that voice. That's such a. I love that voice. Yeah. Yeah, so this might be what inspires her. So this is what inspires her to become a cop. It's like enforcer. I mean, come on. How aggressive can you be? Oh, yeah, so he had her thrown in there. Vi's been thrown in there for nothing and has no parole or anything. And I guess that's also locking her up because she knows everything. Oh, she knows who he is. It's like, don't cross the line. So he's an industrialist, like he's a businessman. Yeah, yes, using his authority to get her out. Here we go. Buddy Cop adventure. Or future Buddy Cop. And then it begins. It's like, so basically she's been in jail. Again, I'm going on the assumption it's been like a decade in jail with no prospect of getting out because she's in that jail illegally. That is just blatant corruption. She got thrown in there with no cause or anything else, and they just accepted it. And if it wasn't for Kate, she just rotted in there for her life. Unless Silco had something to do with it. I'm not sure. Did Silco have her locked up? Or did Marcus do it to keep her out of the way? Okay. Oh, that's his kid. I thought that was maybe one of the kids from one of the dead enforcers. Is his kid? Oh, Grayson. Yeah, because he was responsible. He took a bribe, and she got killed. Ooh. Yeah. It's like, so now it's the similar relationship, but it's in Silco's favor rather than Piltover's, if you will. Oh, and now he's looking into it. Yeah, here comes. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, here we go. We got the. Yeah, so it's like, so this corruption runs deep, but I'm betting it's not just Silco. How could you miss the bloody nose? How could he not notice that? Okay. Oh, well, shit. Holy shit, that's traumatizing flashbacks. Oh. Oh, she still has the flare. Ugh. Hasn't lost her touch. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, wait, is that the Yordle who was getting on the train? It's like it took her life. She could have taken the train and got here faster. Oh, 7. So was she 7? Okay, well, at least he admits it. So I thought for a second if I was trying to ditch Kate, but she just wanted to get there faster. And so it's like, it's like, yeah. Yeah. Yep. So she does know. There's the trick. She's not. It's not just eating. Here we go. Corruption. Oh. Taking a trip down memory lane as she struggles with some of the traumas. Oh, it's mostly Vi on that thing except for Clag. Oh, okay, that's not good. It's like that just shows she's got a complete disregard for life now. That's not good. Yeah, it's like she can't decide if she's loving of her sister or angry at her. Or if her sister's angry at her. Oh, yeah. It's like, shit. And she still fell short. So it's like, yeah, so I'm still, it's like, don't think I can decide if does she want her back in her life or does she want to be strong and so now we have her trying to challenge her sister in a way and still coming up short. Yeah. Oh no. Oh Jesus. A possible Freljord opera. Oh no. Oh, even Caitlyn's mother is in on this. It's like just shows corruption everywhere, and I can't decide if he's falling for it or if it's the whole I can play the game too, but I'll win in the end. It's like he can't play the game. He doesn't know what he's doing. No. Oh, this will be fun. Perfect. Ooh. It's just gotta make it. I was like, I'll say that. Going to talk about that later. Don't worry. Oh, he's considering pull the trigger. Oh, I was like, no, he didn't do that. Like, and that wouldn't really help. I mean, Selko's only part of the problem. They called him the industrialist, so he's not. He's got a presence. Yeah. Doctor? I am not sure she's being honest there. I get the feeling that Jinx is well known in the Undercity by now. Well, she took to that real quick. Ooh. Oh. Not so sure if this is. I'm a little skeptical of Mel if this is manipulation or actual genuine interest. Ooh. Ooh, somebody's got a soft spot for Victor, but unfortunately, he's a little focused on the fact that he's dying and wants to. You know, I can't imagine what it's like. It's like one thing to face mortality, but then to face mortality while you're on the verge of discovering a way to save yourself. I wonder how easily that would consume you. And I'm worried this is how it's gonna happen. Oh shit. Oh. Oh, this is getting steamier and scarier. With what the. Okay. Interesting. That kind of gave me. Yeah. That's worrying. I'm wondering if the guy with the funky nose is the guy from the first part that had a broken nose. Yeah, so he's struggling with all of this piling up corruption and guilt. Oh. Oh. Hey, at least he's got some priority here. Friend in life-threatening danger. Oh. There we go. Yeah, that's the. I think those are the thugs from the first part. Yeah, so this is chemtech, run on chemicals, not magic. But I guess it's not as stable since she doesn't use it regularly. She only uses it when she needs the second arm. Like, oh yeah. Oh. Oh. Ouch. Oh. Oh shit. Ha ha! Here comes the partner. Yeah. Oh, it is a repeater rifle. Okay. Showing off them mad sniper skills. It's like, it's the worry here. Did drowning powder bring Jinx to the fore, or is there still a chance here? No, she's certainly not struggling with it anymore. Okay, no, so he didn't know that she was in the jail. Okay. Okay, so Silco didn't know. He thought he thought Vi was dead. Okay. Let's start with the most obvious thing, and that's the Kate X Vi vibes. Vi stands for vibes situation we got there in the in the brothel. There's it's like calling her hot and sort of cornering her against the wall. It's like it gives you those vibes, the vibes, you know, the vibes I'm talking about, and that it could be something more interesting. And I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, that'd be fine. It's like everybody's had that fantasy, but I think it's more that sort of teasing. As I said, this like they're the buddy cop duo of Legends, so it's that sort of teasing one another, and it's that sort of Caitlyn being the sheltered youth who doesn't have a lot of experience with this kind of stuff, and then Vi, who is more comfortable with it, just sort of using that to make her feel uncomfortable. But then you also have, you know, where, you know, it's like she left Caitlyn alone in the brothel and she seemed to be handling herself. It's sort of because, you know, Caitlyn is like she grew up, as I said, safeguarded and protected, but she doesn't want to be. She's open to experiencing the world, so she's undoubtedly has her own preconceptions. We all have those, but she's open to new ideas and new ways. So she didn't just immediately close off the brothel as a stereotype kind of place. So I think, yeah, so as much as fun as it would be to have a sort of romantic storyline between Kate and Vi, I don't think we're going to see it here. It's kind of, I mean, it's like sort of, oh, what do you call it? Oh, there's a term some people use, coding, I think. It's like sort of implication of possible interest between the two of them, but not in League of Legends, and there's no direct statements or anything. That's just sort of like, it's the question is like, you know, they, as stated, is like, as you see it here, they're this odd duo of high society girl and low-born street punk. And it's like all evidence would tell you this is a pairing that won't work. It'll be a disaster, and yet they work out, and they're an amazing team, and you wonder, how do they work well together? How does it work? And it's like they're totally doing it on the down low. I was like, there's no real evidence of that. And I think as fun as it would be to see that storyline, and it's like, I'm totally open to it. I'm a hopeless romantic. I love no matter what to see it. So I wouldn't be bothered by it, but I think it would. I feel like it wouldn't fit because knowing how this is going with it's like Vi's primary focus is Jinx, and I have I'm still it's like the hopeful part of me is hoping for a good ending, not necessarily a happy one, but a good ending for these sisters, that they won't completely separate from one another. But the other part of me that knows the history of this world and what it's based on gets the feeling that it's not going to end well for them. And so it's like, it's going to be the case like Vi at the end of this is not going to be in the state to be looking for any sort of romantic flings or interests. Instead, what she's going to need is, with Vi, she's sort of been the rock in most of her relationships. We've seen her break down when her parents were killed on the bridge. She broke down, and it's in a way Vander came in and was her rock and stability, and Vi was the rock and stability for Powder when she was younger, and then that fell apart when Vander was taken and presumed killed, she broke down. And the minute she had a chance, she tried to save him, and she, again, when he died, she broke down. And the same thing with Powder's, like when Powder felt that she lost Vi, she broke down. As the same, so I feel like at the end of this, worst case scenario is that she's gonna lose her sister. She's gonna throw everything she's got at this, trying to find her sister, and she's gonna realize that she can't, that her sister is long gone. Because I'm worried about that as well with the whole drowning Powder scene. It's like they drown Powder, and Jinx is all that's left now. As the worry is like when they reunite, she won't see anything of her sister and Jinx anymore, and so it's like she failed her family, and she'll be devastated, and she'll need somebody to be there for her, to support her. For once, she'll need somebody to be the rock, and that'll be Kate, because she doesn't really have anyone else at this point, and that would explain the fundamental basis for how their relationship works so well, is that they have this Kate and Vi have this underlying deep bond of friendship, and from all of this deep intimate bond of friendship that allows their supposedly unorthodox teamwork to work. And I mean, that sounds a little weird, but I feel like that's the more likely scenario they're going to do. It's like she's going to be the only one she really has at the end of this. It's from there that they build an unlikely but incredible friendship. Whether it becomes more than that, who knows? But that's where it'll be at the end of this, in the end of Arcane, I'd guess. And so that was Kate Vi, and those. Yes, the Jinx. We've learned a little bit about Jinx. The first thing is that she's been a problem. It's not the first time she's gone to Piltover to cause trouble, apparently. Because even Marcus knows about her. It's one thing that Svelka, or is it Svelka? I'm going to call her the ogre from now. The ogre, the girl with the mechano arm. It's one thing for her to know that Jinx is a liability, that she's unstable and she's caused a lot of problems. But Marcus knowing implies that Jinx has done this kind of stunt before. She's never gone so far as to kill a bunch of enforcers, but she's probably done a lot of mischievous things and become a problem, and now it's gone too far. So it shows that Silco, at least in some manner, has been protecting Jinx. But again, still that duality of indecision of, I can't decide whether Silco is going to be the sympathetic villain, where he has at least some care for Jinx, and that his protection of her is a sort of fatherly bond, protecting his daughter, or is it the the crafty villain acknowledging Jinx's talents and keeping her under his wing by treating her that way. And that's the worry. Because now we've got this problem coming with Jinx, her sister, returning. And this is going to cause a lot of trouble when Jinx finds out. So, and then there's, again, I keep bringing up the drowning part where she, they go through this whole baptism, rebirth, let Powder die, become Jinx. Jinx is great. And in a way it seemed to work. It's like before when she tried to use the hex tech, she flipped out because it reminds her of the explosion. But the other time she's relishing in it. So in a way it seems to have worked, and that's the worry. Is it too late now? Is Powder gone? It's just Jinx now? And that'll be the end of the story for Vi and Jinx? I don't think so. As of yet, I hope not. I don't want... I'm still hopeful optimist of me wants this to end on a happier note for these two sisters, but the realist League of Legends fan knows that it's probably not. Odds are not in their favor. So it's curious. So it still isn't Zaun. It's still one city. It's like they've largely become isolated because I imagine Silco has used Marcus to keep the enforcers out and sort of reign over it himself, keep it unchecked. But it's still considered part of them. It's still called the Undercity. It's not referred to as Zaun by anybody other than Silco has referred to it as Zaun. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the end here. It's like tensions are rising. It's the same situation they had before, a Zaunite came up, caused some trouble, and people want answers. It's not gonna just go away. And now with Jace looking into it, it's not as easy. You got Jace who's looking into this, and it's like it's not just it's a Piltover issue now, and it's gonna get out of hand. And the worry is, it's going to end up with the two cities split up at the end of this. A great upheaval that's going to finally separate these cities, but not in a very conductive way. The Silco is an industrialist. It's like that was the thing about Silco. It's like Kate knew the name when she brought up Silco. She knew him as an industrialist. That means that Silco has managed to build a presence for himself in Piltover. It's like I don't think he has. Actually, that leads to another curiosity. That shipment in the beginning of Act 2. I'm not sure where was it coming from the Undercity and going international, or was it coming from Piltover and going to the Undercity? That's I'm not quite clear on that. It's like where it was going. So that might be the thing. Is it might be because that's another thing with our Firelight leader, who I suspect is Echo. Just judging from the whole timing stopwatch thing, it's like his whole thing's about manipulating time. So it's like the stopwatch sort of gives me that impression. But he's talking about how they're stepping up production. Is like the Firelights are stationed in Zaun. If the primary factories and producers of Shimmer is in the Undercity, you'd think the Firelights would know about it and have a way to get at it. But if the primary factories and production of Shimmer has moved up into Piltover, that may limit them from knowing the extent of their expansion and their product. And so it could be that it's they're producing Shimmer in Piltover and shipping it to the Undercity, and that's why the Firelight showed up to destroy it, so it doesn't poison their city any further. Because that's the thing about Echo that you need to know, is that Echo he's a genius Sound kid who saw his parents work themselves to all but death in order to try and give him a better chance at life in Piltover, because he's a genius and he could do a lot with those opportunities given the chance. And he didn't want it because he sees the hardworking people like his parents, the good people that are in Zon, not just the crooks and the crime and the pollution. And he sees the potential that Zon could have given the chance. So he's not willing to give up and just leave Zon to its fate. And so he's the sort of folktown hero that stays and fights for his thing. And that's also why he has a bit of an antagonistic relationship with Vi, where in League of Legends, Vi has moved to Piltover and becomes an enforcer, and for enforcing the law in Piltover, in a way she's turned her back on Zon. It's like that's the vibe that Echo feels like she's given up on Zon and moved to Piltover. It's like you sided with the enemy sort of thing. Although I don't think Echo sees Piltover as the enemy so much as, I don't know. I wasn't quite clear if he sees it as enemy, but he certainly sees Vi's move to Piltover as a betrayal of Zon. That she as a good person and a sort of charismatic person who could be a leader in Zon decided to go to Piltover rather than try and help Zon, and that's part of their relationship, and I'm sure that'll be approached here. Yeah, they mentioned Jinx 7 act, or she said that her sister could do it when she was 7. The question is does that mean that she was 7 in Act 1? And or is it more like she's been doing parkour since she was 7? Because it's like, in Act 1, Jinx wasn't the most efficient parkour or anything, and she was scared to do some of the more dangerous stuff, but she was still able to keep up and follow them climbing up to the top of the city. So it's not like she hadn't done it before. So I guess the question is, does that confirm that she was 7 at that time and that's what she was referring to, or that her sister's been able to do it since she was a young child? So because I'm not sure, it's like she could be 7, but I mean, if it was 10 years, if she was 7 then, she'd be 17 now. It's like she could be. She's definitely, but I would have gone so 17 to 20 was my 18 to 20 was my guess, and that's pretty close. But in that case, how old is Vi? It's like, I mean, I could be wrong. Mine is speculation and an assumption that Vi was a teenager. So 13 to 15 was my guess, is like early teens. And that maybe it's not quite, maybe it's just Powder was 7, 2-3 years is like they were 10, 12, the rest of the kids. It's like, I find that hard to believe. It's like, I don't see any 10-year-old, no matter how tough they are, knocking out a full-grown man, even with an impressive uppercut. I mean, even it's surprising. I'd have to imagine she's in her teens in that first part. So either that note about 7 years is either just pointing out how young her sister was when she could do it, or they're younger than I think, and it's just impressive. Or there's a bigger age gap than I think, and that she could still be 13, 15, in which case she's almost 7 years older. But that would make the shot on the bridge not make sense. It's like if it was the age gap was 7 and 13, That's nearly 7 years. Nearly 7 years. It was like if Vi was like 10 on the bridge and 7 years, uh, uh, Powder, damn it, that's the name. Powder would have been like 3. That wouldn't work. So, and I'm also not certain how long it was between. I get the impression it wasn't too many years between the bridge incident and Act 1. I'd guess 5 years tops. So that would put Vi on the bridge at about 10 years old. So she's 13, 15 in Act 1. But then in that case, Powder would have been... Yeah, then Powder would have been a 2-year-old. That wouldn't work if she was 7. So I don't think it's completely accurate. That's the problem. I can't be quite sure. And it could also just be me. It could easily be that Vi wasn't a teenager at all when in Act 1. Again, if anybody has that, throw it in the comments. I'm getting stuck on it. What else have we got? Yeah, so Silco is an industrialist, so it's a whole corporate espionage thing, or corporate corruption as well as council corruption. Jace's rise and Victor's fall. It's like we have this dynamic again with Victor. He's the golden boy, and it's getting more and more better for him. He's a counselor now. He's got political power, but he's also got to deal with the political corruption and all that. But he's on the rise, and it's only getting better for him, although he has to deal with the consequences of power. It's like, that age-old adage, power corrupts. And we see that to some extent. It's like he has to deal with the corruption, and he does, and it's a question of whether... it's getting to him in a way, but the question is whether he plans to screw them all over, and beat them at their own game. Is he playing the game so he can win and ultimately help Piltover? Is that the end game? And he's going to screw over all of these council members at the end? Who knows? I doubt it. I don't, because that's the simple truth is that Jace doesn't know how to play the game. It's like that, but the thing is, he might think he can. It's like he's got a bit of an ego from all this golden boy attention, and he actually thinks he can do it, and he's going to get hammered by these councils. But we'll see. And then on the other side, we have Victor, who is deteriorating physically and becoming borderline obsessed with his work. Because I tried to get into this in the watch through, but it's like you have to wonder if you put yourself in that position where you're facing your mortality, being an illness is eating away at you, and you are in a position where something that could change your life, that could save your life, is in development. But you have the whole moral standards and things. Like it could go faster if we pushed things a little bit, but that might get a little bit ethical and morally debatable. How far will you go? And I'm worried that that's sort of the thing that's happening, is that, Jace is stalling because, Heimerdinger is suggesting that he do it, and there's all this other stuff, and now he's caught in his political career, that he just doesn't have time for Hextech anymore. All this other stuff is taking his... In a way, it's taking over his life, and he's losing that honest, help the common people dream is being lost. And Victor, on the other end, is an example of a guy who's in need of help right now, and he's not going to get it. And I'm worried he's going to go to drastic extremes in order to survive. And I can't imagine that any of us might do something similar. In desperation, what the hell do you think you could be capable of? And I'm worried that it's going to go too far. He's going to push it too far and either cause a disaster, or he's willing to go a dangerous length that Jace isn't willing to do, and that's going to cause a rift between them. And possibly lead to their separation and Victor's. Victor. I'd say Victor is. I mean, again, he's a sort of sympathetic villain in League of Legends in a way, but he's a villain, undoubtedly. It's like, you can debate it, but he's a villain. And it's like villain with good intentions, but a villain. His methods and willingness to go the distance is way too far. That's opinion. You can feel free to critique it, but that's where they'll split. It's like they both, so it'll be it's kind of like they'll be the Magneto Xavier of thing. It's like in the sense that they both want the same thing. They both want to improve the lives of the common people in the case of Jason and Victor, but they'll have such differing views about how to approach it that they won't be able to reconcile differences, and they'll both go their separate ways trying to reach this potential. That's what I mean. And in reference to Magneto Xavier from X-Men Marvel Comics, where fundamentally they both want to improve the lives of mutants, but one is willing to go to radical extremes to do it. And that's going to be sort of the arc that we're going to see coming up here in Act 3. I mean, it's all coming to an head. It's like Act 1 was the startup. It started everything. Act 2 is, building up the pressure, if you will, and then Act 3, everything's just going to explode into epic action. Everybody's going to go into their champion roles and start kicking ass and chewing bubblegum. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If I've gotten everything, Silco, Jinx, Jace, Victor, her age, and the corruption, Jace, it's like hard to tell. It's like he's playing, again, with corruption, trying to play is he trying to play the game, or is he just playing the game so that he can get his other work done? It's like, what do you do in that situation where you have this good person and you're shown the rampant corruption of your system, but you're in no position to change it, because if you try, the whole system will turn on you. It's like, that's kind of basically what Mel was saying, is that yes, he has power and influence now, but his power, in some cases individually, you could argue that Jace is probably the most powerful counselor, perhaps other than Heimerdinger, in individual power, but when he's challenged by all of the other people at the table, he can't match all of them. He's not that much more powerful than individuals. So he's got the most power and influence as a single individual when compared individually, but when challenging all of them, and as he said, all of them turned on him, he won't be able to get anything done. And so he's making these backroom deals just to get them off of his back, so he can get this, so he can try and fix things. And it's not going to go well because he doesn't know what he's doing. I'm still a little... It's like, I'm not sure about Mel. It's like, is it pure manipulation? I mean, it definitely started that way. It's like what she could get out of Jace. And she calls him an investment. But has she caught genuine feelings for this guy? Or is it all just a manipulation? Is that rather impressive sex scene? Is that just a manipulation to keep him in line? Well, I guess we'll see how that's going to approach. That was the other thing I was going to talk about, the sex scene where it kind of feels like he's cheating on... I mean, there hasn't been any sort of romantic connection between Jace and Victor, but it kind of feels like he's cheating, not necessarily on Victor, but on their joint project. And that's sort of, as again, that's the thing with Jace, is like he's getting pulled away by his rising star away from his original goal, and he's just not paying attention to that. And it's going to cause a rift with him and Victor. But then again, Victor, on the other hand, may be the opposite, where his deteriorating health has got him obsessed with the work, and he really doesn't care about the rising star, about improving his standing or anything.